Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. The top headlines tonight. The same vaccine will be used as the first two you got for India's Precaution third shots. No mixing vaccines for your third shot, an NDTV exclusive. Meanwhile, Delhi's at 334 cases in 24 hours. Positivity climbs to 0.68% as the curfew kicks in from tonight. And Kerala is now the latest state to impose night curfew. The student ID will be okay for teens to register for vaccines from January the 1st. However, only Covaxin has approval so far. Also, no medical documents need to be uploaded for above 60s to prove comorbidities. A stunning political debut by AAP in the Chandigarh municipal elections. AAP wins 14 seats, the BJP 12, the Congress 8 out of 35, so it is hung at the moment. The BJP is down from 20 last time to 12 seats. The BJP mayor loses his seat. AAP says this is a trailer. The real movie will be in the state elections in a few months. A no from the Home Ministry this Christmas for Mother Teresa's charity license renewal for foreign contributions. This amid the huge foreign donation license controversy. The Home Ministry rejects the foreign contribution license renewal. From Mamata Banerjee to the Congress to the Archbishop of Calcutta, their protests. Government sources say they received adverse inputs on the audit of these charities. 200 crores in cash and gold. Kanpur businessman Piyush Jain is arrested. He had crores in cash in his home, but he used to use only a scooter. Markets volatile through the day over Omicron fears. They close up, but they were down as they opened and likely to be much volatility in this next week. Across India, from Kedarnath to Pahalgam, the season's first snowfall. It's a white New Year's Eve. And Tiger and the Snake, Zinda Hai. Salman's snake bite and rescue story on his birthday. Coming up, our big focus on NDTV is the latest COVID cases, the Omicron variant and how this impacts you, as well as vaccination plans. So I've got reporters joining me from Delhi, Bengaluru, Kerala, Mumbai and more. But first, let's go across to Vishnu, because Vishnu, you've got the latest on the vaccination guidelines.
Right, so let's bring you the latest details as far as the vaccination guidelines are concerned. Now, it starts on the 3rd of January. Covaxin will be the only vaccine option for adolescents between 15 and 18 years of age, because that's the only one. Zydus Cadila was the other one approved, but only Covaxin for the moment. It is the only one in this age group which has been given an EUL, or an emergency use listing. Adolescent children born in 2007 or earlier are all eligible in this category. They can register online or they can go on site and pick up their shot. Now, starting on the 10th of January, healthcare workers and frontline workers will receive the third precautionary dose. The government's not calling it a booster. This will be at 39 weeks or 9 months after the second vaccine which they've got. Elderly citizens 60 years and above with comorbidities will receive their third precautionary dose. Again, that's the word being used, 9 months or 39 weeks after the second dose. But they will need to have a doctor's letter, I beg your pardon. They don't need to upload it, but they need to carry it with them. So healthcare workers, frontline workers, the elderly with comorbidities will get this precautionary dose through their existing CoWIN account. If you can't manage to access it, no problem. Go to a center, you'll still get your dose. They will also be informed through SMS on the old registered number that your precaution dose is ready, it's due.
Thanks, Vishnu. Thanks for that clarity, really, on how this whole process is going to happen. From the 1st of January onwards, registrations will open for students, followed then, of course, by senior citizens. But let's just look at the weekly numbers. And this is worrying because we've seen that the cases in the metros have gone up in city after city. So as you can see, in Delhi, we've got a rise in cases. up from what it was, about a 16% rise in cases. Now, Mumbai also, again, about a 60% rise in cases, and in Bengaluru as well. So, there you are with a huge rise in cases, which is why state after state has imposed a curfew. And in fact, in Delhi, the cases now are over 334 cases in the last 24 hours. Let's go across live to reporters from Delhi, Bengaluru and Kerala, which has also imposed a ban. Sonakshi, well, Delhi's night curfew begins just a few hours from now at 11 o'clock. What are restaurant owners and, well, people who wanted to party this New Year's Eve, what are they telling you?
Well, Sonia, in about 3 hours from now, the national capital, Delhi, will go into a night curfew starting 11 p.m., which will last till about 5 a.m. in the morning. And I just want to quickly give you a view of one such restaurant at the moment, which is not even at a 50% capacity. So you can already see the ground realities that people are becoming more aware and certain of the fact that cases in the national capital, COVID and Omicron is rising, and which is why in a New Year's week, you can see the festival mode in people. Very few people really here at the moment. But I want to get a quick reaction from the restaurant manager here, Mr. Ravi, at the Connaught Clubhouse in Connaught Place, a place which has lots of restaurants really here. What is the feedback you've got so far? People are cancelling on their plans of New Year's and Christmas because, of course, Christmas has gone past, but because of the rise in COVID cases and Omicron cases, what is the feedback that you're getting from people?
See, as of now, there is a lot of confusion among people. We are getting a lot of queries regarding the timings and actual way we are going to operate. And as you can see, the first day only, the impact, the dip in the number of footfall of the clients coming out of a place.
Are you also witnessing cancellations from customers?
Yes, obviously.
Okay,
we had more than half of the cancellations.
More than half cancellations. So a reaction from a restaurant manager here, more than half of the customers really cancelling in on their request. A quick reaction from somebody here. Hello, gentlemen. I'm sorry to disturb you, but I want to understand from you that there's a curfew in place from tonight in Delhi from 11 p.m. The cases are rising, COVID and Omicron. As a customer, how does this impact you? What do you think about this?
It's not on a regular basis. It's just a company get-together which we are coming. But for the restaurant thing, yes, it will going to impact a lot.
And as a customer as well, because you won't get to stay out too late.
Obviously, yes.
Okay. So both customers and restaurant people, managers here, saying that this will impact them at a personal level, at a professional level. But most importantly, several restaurant people I spoke to, the sentiment is that their businesses will be hugely impacted once again this year, given that they had just started to recover from the second wave and the sufferings of the second wave of COVID.
Right, and that of course is in Delhi, but let's go across now to Bengaluru. Shija, of course, Bengaluru's pubs, famous, the nightlife. What's the reaction there? I guess many people have also welcomed this because of course health first before partying.
Well, firstly, the curfew is going to start from tomorrow onward, that is from 10 p.m. and it will remain active for about 10 days. And this will go on till morning, which is 6 a.m. And if I could just show you around now, of course, we are at a pub. Now, this is a bar and a kitchen. This is not even the 50% capacity even after the Karnataka government, where they went ahead and passed certain guidelines saying that yes, bar and restaurants, or even for that matter, pubs can allow 50% of the capacity. They can still go ahead and also have people come in over. But if I could just go across to Jesna over here, who's joining us at the moment. Now, she's the manager of the pub. She also tells us that it is very unfortunate the fact that over the past 2 years, it's been very tough. The business has not been good. And only during the year end. Now, that is something that where they actually believe that they can, make up a lot of for the lost business. But Jesna, can you tell us that if you have already started to see a lot of reservations which are being cancelled, and is this the crowd that you usually witness during the year end?
No, we also have the other floor there, and like usually we used to have kind of like both the floor used to be busy, but these days because of the curfew and all, and maybe the people are scared to get out of the place. So because of that reason, we are losing our customers, we are losing our business, and that is impacting us because whoever we are working for, like ourselves, we came very far from mostly the people are here from Northeast only. So like we came here to earn, and we are expecting like this, like on Christmas and then on the New Year, we are expecting like we'll have 100% of the customers. But now all the reservations are getting cancelled and we are losing our business.
So you are already expecting for the bad because of the new guidelines that have come in?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me go across to a few customers who are sitting here because Sonia, the curfew is starting at 10 p.m. Now that is the nightlife that we're looking at as far as Bengaluru is concerned. Now let me go across to a person over here. We see that the government has brought out new guidelines. They say 10 p.m. is your curfew that starts. Now, what in your opinion, do you really think that, these guidelines are too harsh?
Well, of course, we're party goers, so obviously we are going to find it harsh, but we have to think of the bigger picture. And we're dealing with this as an entire planet, so it's not just one specific region. So I guess we'll just have to go with the program. And it's unfortunate we do gear up for this time of the year to really let our hair down and have a good time before we start making that list of resolutions.
What do you think?
I think the guidelines are harsh, but I think it's the need of the hour.
Okay,
and
so you guys are for it.
We have to be for it. We have to see the greater good. Yes, it does hinder a few of our celebrations and everything, but seeing that they've taken early action this time, not waiting for things to escalate, I think it may help in the long run. So I think.
Well, you have the crowd also trying to tell us it's in a way it is pretty good because Sonia here back in Bengaluru, over the past few days we have been seeing a rise in cases, and if you're looking at the 7-day average, just about previous week we did see how Bengaluru was faring at least about 1,200 or change cases, but this week that we're looking at, it has crossed 1,400. Back to you.
Right, Shija, and I'm very worried to see you without a mask there. So put on that mask before you talk to people. Keep yourself and everyone else safe. Thanks so much, Sonakshi and Shija, for those details. Kerala has also announced today, and remember, Kerala has amongst the highest COVID cases in the country, night curfew from the 30th of December till the 2nd of January. So they're only keeping it for 3 days, just over the New Year's period. Also travel restrictions from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. and no New Year celebrations post 10 p.m. the 31st of December. All bars, hotels and clubs, restaurants will have 50% seating. Well, let's just look now at the overall India Omicron map. As while the overall cases are still low of COVID, we can see that the Omicron cases are rising. They're now 579. Now, again, remember, only samples have been genome sequenced, so the actual cases could be much higher. Delhi now has the highest Omicron case in the country at 142. That's also because all COVID positive samples are being genome sequenced, followed by Maharashtra, then Kerala, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Telangana, and Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, etc. in single digits. But as we said, this doesn't really reflect the true nature of Omicron in the country because of limited genome sequencing. So let's just see how Delhi is getting prepared as they now have the highest number of the highly contagious Omicron cases in India.
In just the last 24 hours, 63 cases of the highly transmissible Omicron variant of COVID have been detected in Delhi. In fact, as many as 331 COVID cases have been detected in the last 24 hours, the highest since the 2nd of June. With the test positivity rate hitting 0.68, a yellow alert has been automatically triggered in the national capital, which goes into night curfew from tonight. There is also a worrying jump in the number of patients in home isolation. From 243 patients a week ago, there are now 692 in home isolation. As per the Delhi government's daily bulletin, 266 people have been hospitalized in COVID wards. This Commonwealth Games Stadium had become a 550-bedded COVID facility during the second wave. It has now been reactivated.
We have 3 oxygen plants here who can cater up to 200 to 300 patients, and depending on the oxygen requirement, we have additional 1000 D-type cylinders here as a backup and more than 500 oxygen concentrators also.
It is very important that we do have our home isolation guidelines in place. This is a more transmissible virus, more infective virus, and all the times he should be wearing a mask as well.
With the sharp increase in Omicron cases, the capacity building for a third wave has begun. As you can see, There are preparations being made for oxygen generation as well as storage. But there are other frontiers that cannot be forgotten. Patients in home isolation cannot get left behind. With Shashikant Jha, Meher Pandey for NDTV.
And the Prime Minister also stressed in his Saturday address that the focus is on teenagers so that they can get back to schools and colleges after the winter holidays. So which exactly and how will it happen, and what are the vaccines being used globally around the world, what's being used in India? Well, as of now, it's going to be Covaxin for teenagers from 15 to 18. Sonal Mehrotra explains.
Vaccine for kids in India is going to be a reality soon, at least for kids between the age group of 15 to 18. So we thought we'll give you a kids vaccine tracker across the globe, which vaccine and what age group is actually being administered. Let's begin with the details in India. 1st of January, the registration opens. You have to go to the CoWIN website and register. If you don't have an Aadhaar card and obviously not a voter ID card, then kids can log in with their school ID cards as well. They will have a choice of 2 vaccines. One is Covaxin, which is the 2-dose vaccine. The other one is a Zycov-D, both made in India. Zycov-D, of course, is 3-dose. But WHO at the moment has approved only 2 vaccines for kids for 12 and above. That's Moderna and Pfizer, most of which are seen across the globe. United States, for example, has started vaccinating kids as young as 5. Between the age group of 5 to 11, they give a smaller dose of the Pfizer vaccine, and kids above the age of 12 get both the doses of Pfizer and Moderna. In UK, at risk, that is kids with comorbidity between the age group of 5 to 11, again offered just about a third of the dose. That's about 10 micrograms used for the adult Pfizer doses as well. For kids above 12, they're all getting their shots. The European Union, for example, has Pfizer, again smaller dose for kids between the age group of 5 to 11, a full dose for kids above 12. And in France, vaccines for at-risk children, again from 5 to 11. In Canada, for example, Pfizer shot for children has been given to all ages from 5 to 11, a full shot over there. In Switzerland, however, Pfizer and Moderna both going in from 12 to 15-year-olds. Let's move on to Norway, which has now given 1 dose only of Pfizer to children. This is between the age group of 12 to 15. So that's where the Kids World Tracker on vaccine stands. Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor, NDTV.
So all the information you need on vaccinations right here, all verified. But here's the latest on what's happening, because the huge rallies, the huge election rallies are continuing. In fact, today the Prime Minister was in Himachal Pradesh to inaugurate various power projects, again for huge rallies there. This as the Election Commission met with the Health Secretary to discuss precautions for given COVID. So the news is that there won't be a postponement of the state elections scheduled in 5 states, including Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Uttarakhand, etc. The poll panel, however, has asked for details on vaccination and the Omicron spread in these 5 states and has asked for stricter COVID protocols during the elections. But as of now, they've said that the polls will not be postponed because of the constitutional mandate to hold the elections on time. They will now be in Uttar Pradesh on Tuesday to look at poll preparations. Well, the markets are volatile throughout the day today, but have closed up. You can see there the Sensex finally closing up, and so did the Nifty. This after they were down at open in the red on Monday, but eventually saw a 900-point rebound between the recovery of pharma and IT, financial services and banks rallying. So broader markets also advancing despite the worries over Omicron. Well, the government's Niti Aayog today released a health index and the health performance of different states in India. Well, Kerala is the best and Uttar Pradesh is the worst. So Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Telangana, all 3 south states, are the top 3 performers in the health index among largest states. Kerala is the best in overall performance for the 4th consecutive year. Uttar Pradesh is at the bottom in the overall health performance, and Uttar Pradesh, however, ranked first in incremental performance, and among smaller states, Mizoram is the best performer. Union territories, Delhi and Jammu and Kashmir are last in overall performance, but top in incremental performance. Well, our other big headline tonight, there's a huge controversy now after the Ministry of Home Affairs did not renew the foreign donation, the foreign contribution license for the missionaries of charity. That, of course, is the charity founded by Mother Teresa. So this wasn't renewed. So today, the accounts of the missionaries of charity were frozen. They said they did that because that they were no longer eligible, or it is no longer legal for them to remove to receive foreign donations. The ministry's decision to not renew this license, the FCRA license, came just this Saturday on Christmas, a national holiday. So a huge controversy now erupting over the Ministry of Home Affairs decision not to renew the license. Sunil Prabhu has more on this. Sunil, we've seen the political controversy, but what are the facts? Why would the government decide not to renew the foreign contribution license of an internationally known charity set up by Mother Teresa, declared a saint by the Vatican, and of course praised by India then as well?
That's right, Sonia, and as you rightly said,
so we've got a slight problem with Sunil's line there. We'll come back to that. But just as we look at the various tweets that came in, where first from the West Bengal Chief Minister, Mamata Banerjee, saying she was shocked to hear that on Christmas, the Union Ministry froze all bank accounts of Mother Teresa's missionary charity in India, saying that 22,000 patients and employees have been left without food and medicine. While the law is paramount, she said humanitarian efforts must not be compromised. So, Sunil, as I said, the argument over this, what is the government telling you about why they didn't renew that license?
well, the adverse inputs that they are alleging is that because there have been some irregularities in the audit report. They are saying very categorically this has nothing to do with conversion. There is, of course, a process for review as well as a request which can be looked at. So no doors are closed at the present, but definitely the missionaries of charity have got a rude and terrible Christmas gift on the 25th of which is also really something that they didn't expect, and it's in that that they're doing it with abundant caution. Their lawyers as well as chartered accountants will work with the Ministry of Home Affairs to try and resolve this at the earliest.
And I think the main issue really, as both the Archbishop of Calcutta and Mamata Banerjee said, is what happens to all the people who receive care from the missionaries of charity. As I said, one of India's most well-known and well-respected charities. Now, is there any links? Because, Sunil, of course, you've seen all the controversy of the anti-conversion bill in Karnataka being passed, the attacks we've seen on churches even on Christmas. So, is there any link? What does the government say to charges of how this is part of a larger conspiracy against the Christian community?
Well, Sonia, you yourself can point out that there is nobody from the top political brass who have condemned those series of events that have taken place. So if you ask many people, be it political parties and others, this is something that is really which has shocked them, and there is definitely a pattern that they believe has taken place. Nevertheless, the Ministry of Home Affairs, when I specifically asked them whether there is a possibility of some kind of organized attack or what they call a program against the Christians, they make it very clear that they are taking various measures to safeguard and ensure that the minorities are safe, and making it also abundantly clear that Mother Teresa's work is respected. It has nothing to do with conversion. There are certain irregularities after the FCRA guidelines have become far more cumbersome, far more stringent, and it's in that backdrop that they have rejected the FCRA request. We'll have to wait and see what exactly happens, but definitely nationally as well as internationally, this action is definitely going to come under a scanner.
Thanks so much, Sunil, for that update. Well, moving now to the other big political headline, and that's a stunning political debut of Arvind Kejriwal's Aadmi party in the Chandigarh municipal elections. Now, of course, these are only city elections, but remember, this is the first time that AAP has even fought these elections. So, AAP is the leader. The BJP, which last time was the leader, is now down to the number 2, and their mayor actually lost his seat. Congress was a distant third, as were the Akalis.
The Aam Aadmi Party's big debut, toppling the BJP in 14 of the 35 civic wards in Chandigarh, a city administered by the centre and ruled by the BJP. The Aam Aadmi Party's 31-year-old Damanpreet Singh A dhaba owner from Chandigarh beat the sitting mayor, Ravikant Sharma of the BJP.
केजरीवाल जी रोल मॉडल लेके आंदे ने ਉਹ ਹੁਣ ਵੋਟ ਅਪੀਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਆਪਣਾ ਮਾਡਲ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿੱਤ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਅੱਜ ਜਨਤਾ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਕਾਂਗਰਸ ਬੀਜੇਪੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋ ਕੋਈ ਵਿਕਲਪ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ.
Among major setbacks, 3 former mayors of the BJP, Ravikant Sharma, Rajesh Kalia and Davesh Modgil, lost the elections, and months before the Punjab polls, the Aadmi party has termed the party's victory as an indication of change in Punjab.
ਪੰਜਾਬ ਤਾਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਹੀ ਮਨ ਬਣਾਈ ਬੈਠਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਰਵਾਇਤੀ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹਾਂ. ਸਿਟੀ ਬਿਊਟੀਫੁਲ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਇਹ ਸਾਬਤ ਕਰਤਾ ਕਿ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਰਾਜਨੀਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਸੰਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ.
In the face of the setback in the Chandigarh civic polls, the BJP today formally announced its alliance with Shiromani Akali Dal Sanyukt and Amarinder Singh-led Punjab Lok Congress for the Punjab elections.
कि आदरणीय कैप्टन साहब की पार्टी, आदरणीय ढिंडसा साहब की पार्टी और भारतीय जनता पार्टी तीनों मिलकर चुनाव लड़ेंगे. तीनों ही दलों के 2-2 प्रतिनिधियों की एक कमेटी बनाई जाएगी. मैनिफेस्टो, जॉइंट मैनिफेस्टो इन तीनों दलों का इस गठबंधन का बनेगा.
The civic body results has given a hung house for Chandigarh's municipal corporation, but the debut performance of the Aadmi party will give them big momentum ahead of the Punjab polls early next year. With Mohammad Ghazali, Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Well, the latest on Uttar Pradesh is 200 crore haul, which is really those pictures I think have just fascinated and shocked India. Look at them again. So 194 crores in total have now been found at a Kanpur businessman, Piyush Jain's house. He's now been arrested. It's not just the 194 crores in cash. It's also 23 kilos of gold. There are those pictures of the gold which was found. So 23 kilos of gold is estimated at over 11 crores. So there you are, crossing 200 crore haul in just one UP businessman, Piyush Jain's house. And guess what? The police say that even though he had all this money in cash in his house, all Piyush Jain did was actually ride a scooter. So no fancy cars there to give him away. It was just Piyush Jain and his scooter. Oh, that's not.
The biggest ever cash seizure in India. Over 260 crore and customs officials are still counting at the house of Kanpur businessman Piyush Jain, who supplies perfume to pan masala manufacturers. What has already been seized in cash is equal to the 2021 budgetary allocation for women self-help groups in rural Uttar Pradesh. After 6 days of raids, Piyush Jain has been arrested for tax evasion. Well, the GST's intelligence unit, acting on input of tax evasion, laid a trap for manufacturers of Shikhar Pan Masala. It was Piyush Jain who was caught in the trap.
4-5 दिन से हमारे क्लाइंट को अनावश्यक डिटेन किए हुए हैं और उसको प्रेशर बनाकर आपने स्टेटमेंट दर्ज करा लिए, दबिश डाल दी. जो पैसा है उसके संबंध में जब लीगल प्रोसेस आएगा तो हम अपना पक्ष रखेंगे. अभी ये उनका आरोप है, हम उस आरोप को अपना डिफेंस देंगे जब केस चलेगा.
Piyush Jain, along with his brother Amrish Jain, learned the art of perfume manufacturing from their father, a chemist. The brothers' Odochem Industries flourished after they started selling perfumery compounds for manufacturers of pan masala. They got into trouble because they took payments in cash. In the 6 days of searches, GST officials have seized more than 200 crore unaccounted cash from Piyush Jain's residence and office, 23 kgs of gold, 600 kgs of sandalwood oil worth 6 crore rupees. As the gold recovered have foreign markings, Department of Revenue Intelligence has also been roped in to probe alleged customs duty violations. With Arvind Gunasekar, Osama Shab for NDTV.
And as we end tonight, actor Salman Khan is 56 today, and well, he had an exciting birthday weekend with a snake bite. But Salman Khan said both tiger and saap abhi zinda hai, and as he pointed out, he rescued the snake even after he'd bitten him.
डैड ने पूछा क्या हुआ कि सांप जिंदा है, तो ऐसा हाँ टाइगर भी जिंदा है, सांप भी जिंदा है. हाँ, तो ऐसे तो मारा वारा तो नहीं सांप को मारा वारा तो ऐसे नहीं, बिल्कुल प्यार से वापस यहीं पे छोड़ दिया.